Thanks for having me. I understand that Chat GPT has created much anxiety in the academy. Because if you open the page on Chronicle of Higher Ed, which I look at every day because they send their stuff in my inbox, there's at least one article on a daily basis about how people are scared, this is going to take away my job, students are going to cheat 24/7, etc. But those students who want to cheat, they're going to find ways. They're very resourceful. That's why they're in college. They're going to cheat. But what do we do about this technology? As a philosopher of technology, don't forget about that later. I started thinking about this. Okay, there's a couple of dimensions to this Chat GPT stuff. One is that unlike Wikipedia, it's not an open source in terms of the average person being able to get in there and input data and change things, edit things, and have a democratic committee working on those things. So Microsoft, who has poured in billions upon billions of dollars into the system and has allowed ChatGPT AI to open it up freely for now to the public to use, and by public it's mostly students that are using it, of course, to write papers and such. It's a good technology. In and of itself, it can be a fabulous tool. Of course, like any other technology, the ideological dimensions are important to consider. Who's in charge of it? For what purposes are they developing the technology? How is it going to progress? And is it going to help humanity at large at some point? Or is it going to dominate certain sectors of society and allow an elite to run the show, just as it is with other facets of our society? And by society, I'm talking about on a global scale, not just the United States. But anyway, so I thought we'd get into this a little bit. I'll try to be succinct, 10 minutes doesn't do it justice, but hey, here we are, what are we gonna do? I'll blame Nicole on that.
Happy to take it.
So for those of you who may be a little murky on the actual definition of what is a GPT, I thought I'd just bring this in, a generative pre-trained transformer. In other words, you got machine learning in process, and I'm not going to get into all machine learning technology and all that, but I'll be happy to talk about it later. And the data is fed into it. By the way, the AI, Open Chat GPT AI, has data up until 2021. So if you assign a topic to one of your students for 2022 relevant, they're going to get some confusing stuff, written out as a paper. So that's what that acronym stands for. It's pretty simple stuff, but you probably already know that. This is about AI-driven chatbots that work like an assistant to the person who's using it, right? Write me a paper on USF, California, right? How do they do it? How is it that they're so successful? Where do they get their professors? You need all kinds of crazy stuff in there, but it'll be enough material for the Chat GPT to write a paper, but is that going to be the kind of assignment that the student needs to have? We are dealing with, and by we, I'm talking about, I'm making an assumption that most of us in this room, of course, certainly not all of us, our fellow students, co-learners are here, and they happen to be digital natives. There is a difference in processing the world. I'm talking about perception of reality. All reality is perception. George Berkeley, we can talk about that philosophy at some point. But let's just think about it. How do they process things as opposed to us, the immigrants? We've arrived here, we remember the fax machines and typewriters. Remember those? We write undergrad days, writing papers and so on. And the way in which we work is we have adopted the web technologies because we had no other choice. We had to do it, right? You want to survive as an academic, you gotta be able to write emails, work with emails, although many of our colleagues, as you know, don't answer emails. And we like to talk in person. We like to do this, right? But a digital native may just want to just sit there at the same table and text each other. Hey, did you see that? TikTok video. It was pretty cool. So we get our news and information about the world from traditional news sites, but our students, the digital natives, how do they do it? They're intuitive learners. You hand a 4-year-old a smartphone and say, figure this out for me. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times, he or she's going to be able to just scroll down and figure it out, right? I got 5 minutes. So I'm gonna keep going. See a digital native telling me. So this is how we interact with the digital natives. So it behooves us. It is our moral duty, and I mean this with all seriousness. I'm not joking around, but I'm always seriously joking anyways. It is our moral responsibility to understand their world because we're teachers, we're educators. This is a sacred job, sacred profession. It's a calling, right? All this business of holiness about being an educator, impacting your life, making a difference in your life so you can transform and become a better human being as you are today and make this world a better place and all the rest of it, yada, yada, yada. We get to the next step. So what do we need to know? What do we need to learn in order to teach? So we have to learn about Chat GPT AI. Of course, from a developer's perspective, they are looking at employing natural language processing at a more sophisticated level. So they're thinking, well, let's make this more human. So when students go in there and they want to research something or talk about something and what have you, they can feel like they're talking to a human being, as it were, like they're passing the Turing test somehow through this. But that's not really, that shouldn't be our concern. Our concern is how to turn the tables on the developers and use this as a research tool. How to teach this business rather than rejecting it. Saying, oh, this is like, Anyways. So we do our research. I've been messing around with Chat GPT for the past month or so, right? In fact, just full disclosure, I'm writing a book about this stuff, so I have to get into that stuff. And it's a fabulous place. It's like going down the rabbit hole, as Kathy was pointing out. So it was a wonderful discussion you were having on Wikipedia, and I'm fascinated by it because I'm kind of going through this similar process. And figuring out different ways of how to do the prompts, how to use this, how to bring this to discussions and in the discourses that we have with our students and colleagues and say, well, this is how you're going to research this material. This is where you're going to go. And this is how you're going to use it. And this is where your papers. So imagine, you could probably recall the days where you were an undergrad and an assignment was given to you. Write a paper on Proust. Oh shit, and you sit there, you're looking at the blank screen. Like, where do I start? Where do I start? If you got Chat GPT and your teacher has taught you how to use it, you go in there and you go, give me something on Proust, right? And here are a couple of prompts. And that gets you going. And once the creative juices are flowing in your body, and you can write a paper, and everybody's capable of deep thinking and then reproducing that deep thinking in a form of humanistic expression we call writing. So we bring that into the classroom. I am advocating for us not to be afraid of the technology, embrace it, so it can be part of our paradigm of, and essentially an important integral component of our pedagogy. So yes, they do have the potential to transform higher education by providing students with quick and easy access to information and resources. That's a given. Let's have a discussion afterwards and see if we really need to have a discussion. But I want to leave you with one thing, and I think I'm just kind of preaching to the choir. And I tell this to my students all the time, regardless of whether they're undergrads or I also teach grad students. The purpose of higher ed is transformation. If you go get a degree, you get a PhD, master's, whatever it is, and you leave the institution and say, I didn't learn anything, but I got a cool job, then you didn't really transform. You didn't achieve the overall objective of higher ed. When Plato was walking around with his students, when Aristotle was walking around with his students, they were talking about this transformation business, right? So let's use these tools, Chat GPT, Wikipedia, and all the rest of it, to help our students transform, and then as a result, we shall transform too. Thank you.